All right, welcome guys. We have 7 games to go over NBA. A pretty crazy slate last night, right? So one of the highest scoring slates that I recall. Had almost 380 and just missed the cash in tournaments. It's crazy to think about, but it was again one of those nights where there's so much value. The studs are in great spots. They all smash besides Giannis. So, let's talk about this 7-game slate. This is the first time watching the live stream or checking out the channel. How this works is we'll take a look at what we know so far as injuries go, review the Vegas odds, and then I will go team by team, talk about the players I have interest in, and get to questions at the end. So let's start off with Yuta Watanabe, who is not going to play. We'll get to that for Toronto. I think Toronto now looks a lot more appealing, and we'll talk about a couple pieces from Toronto here. Grayson Allen out. I think Desmond Bane is certainly someone we can look to for value. Once again, half the team for the Pacers questionable with Brogdon, Sumner, Lamb, and Goga. Rui out. OG is out for the Raptors. Killian Hayes questionable. Corey Joseph questionable, but now in. And we're still waiting on Killian Hayes news. Again, Watanabe out. Kyle Lowry out for rest. So, yeah, Toronto looks pretty good here against Washington shorthanded. Gary Trent Jr. will play. I don't play that guy. Corey Joseph probable, so I'm assuming he starts. So we're still waiting on Killian Hayes news right now. Wayne Ellington also in, so this makes me I don't like the Pistons as much now. They're a lot riskier with Kojo and Wayne Ellington in. A little bit surprised that they're both playing, to be honest. Levine, Vooch, both in. No limit for Vooch. No limit for Levine, but we'll play shorter stints, so maybe plays a few less minutes. Let's see. All the Rockets guys are questionable for tomorrow, and I think that's it for now. Yep. So, I take a look at these Vegas odds. Brooklyn and Dallas, it's 235 over under. That one looks appealing. Again, this Washington-Toronto game is going to be popular, as it should be. 236.5 over under. And then Atlanta and Indiana, 240 over under. This game, not as much. You know what this game reminds me of? So this Washington-Toronto game reminds me of the Washington-Milwaukee game last game, where it was just the ultimate chalk. And this Indiana-Atlanta game reminds me of the Memphis-Minnesota game last game that had a lot of upside, but there's just no ownership because the pricing didn't make sense for optimal plays. But you still saw some massive games, right, for Anthony Edwards. I think there's a lot of upside in this Atlanta-Indiana game. There's not much ownership going there. And that is basically it for Vegas odds. So real quick before I get into the team by team breakdown, if you guys could, if you're coming in, leave a like button on the live stream. Let's aim for 100 as always. It helps me out a ton. Every single like, just more views on the stream. So easiest way to support me, and it takes 2 seconds out of your day. So, all right, guys, let's start it off with Chicago and Charlotte. On the Chicago side, there's not much here. Vooch, Levine, both in. With them being in, takes the value out of play for me. A lot of these guys priced up from when they were both out. Levine, going to play, but in shorter stints. No thank you there. Vooch at 10-3. You got to ask yourself, are you going to play Nikola Vucevic over Russell Westbrook? Are you going to play Nikola Vucevic over Kevin Durant? Are you going to play him over Luka, over Steph? Right? Just have a hard time doing that. So, not much here for Chicago. Pretty easy fade, in my opinion. On the Charlotte side, a little bit more interest here. I think Ball, Rozier, both in play for tournaments. The reason I say tournaments is LaMelo Ball, the minutes. Only 30-31 last couple games. Not amazing for a guy now on almost 8K. Now, he is a good point per minute guy. And if I knew he was going to play 38 minutes tonight, I would love him. But right now, we're not seeing that, which makes him just more of a risky play. Rozier, the minutes will be there. The question is, will the production be there? He's been very up and down. He does have 50-plus fantasy point upside, but also has a low floor. So those two, more GPP plays. PJ Washington, I'll pass on. We'll see what they do with the starting lineup, but I'm probably not going to go there at that price. A couple of viable value plays here. McDaniels at 5-1, I think is doable, assuming he starts. I don't think we get 39 minutes, maybe around 30 to 35. Fair play in the mid-range. Malik Monk, more of a GBP play off the bench. He had a terrible 0 of 8 shooting game last game, but when he's shooting well, he's shown some upside. So Monk, I think, is a fine GBP play. The ownership will be way less on him after last game. And then Caleb Martin, assume he starts again, I think is a fair value. Played 34 minutes. Probably don't get 34 minutes, but maybe around 25-ish at a guy below 4K. Not the best point per minute guy, but someone you could at least consider for value. The bigs I'll probably stay away from unless Cody Zeller starts. If Cody Zeller starts, then I like him. Other than that, I'm not going to take a shot either of the Charlotte bigs. And then Wanamaker did play big minutes off the bench, but not sure we get 31 again. They've kind of been up and down. I would guess maybe around 20 minutes from Wanamaker, which makes him a viable dart throw in GPPs. All right, so that is it for Chicago and Charlotte. Let's move on to Brooklyn and Dallas. On the Brooklyn side, I think Kevin Durant looks like one of the better spend-ups of the slate. He's still priced below 10K. In close games, 40 minutes. That's great to see for a guy like Kevin Durant. So I do think Kevin Durant is one of the better plays at the slate. I think he'll be popular. Same thing as I said last slate Brooklyn was on. Hey, everyone's going to Kevin Durant. No one's going to go Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has similar upside, just a little bit of a lower floor. Makes him slightly less optimal. So, ownership should be way less on Kyrie. I think he's a good tournament play off of a, I think, somewhat popular Kevin Durant in this one. The value for the Nets, I just don't think we have to go there. I just don't trust the rotations right now. I think there's other value that looks a little bit more appealing. So Brooklyn, probably pass for me. On the Dallas side, I don't like talking about this team when they're missing a couple of bigs. You guys know why. But we'll start with Luka Doncic. So Luka Doncic, I do like at the top. Now, is he the best benefit in the slate? No. But I think he'll come in a little bit less ownership to a guy like Westbrook, maybe less ownership to a guy like Steph Curry. And great matchup against Brooklyn. He should play 35-plus minutes in a good game, in a close game. He still has upside. He's just been a little bit more inconsistent recently. So I do like Luka a good amount here. I think ownership will be, I think will come in pretty low ownership. So I do like Luka a good amount there at the top. Dorian Finney-Smith, going to play minutes, but doesn't really stand out. Tim Hardaway Jr. is fine for tournaments. Be careful here, though. I know he's gone for 51 and 50 fantasy points through the last 3 games, but he also has a pretty low floor when he's not hitting a shot. So, he can go out and get you 30 minutes and 12 fantasy points. That's a realistic floor for Tim Hardaway Jr. So that is a concern. I think people are going to box score watch and maybe jam him in. I'm not saying he's a terrible play. Again, it just depends whether or not he hits a shot. So if he's going to be popular, I'm perfectly fine going elsewhere because he's so reliant in the scoring, and when he's not hitting shots, he will kill you. Now, the other value for Dallas, as far as like the guards, wings, Brunson at 4.7, the minutes have not been great on him. Nothing more than GPP play. Josh Richardson, I think, probably gets 25 to 30 minutes. They haven't been, earlier in the season, he was playing like 38 minutes. Now he's like 25 to 30. I mean, the price is fair, but just a secondary option. Then we got to talk about the bigs. I really don't want to, but I think Powell, Cauley-Stein are going to split the set of minutes. The minutes for each of these guys are just so inconsistent. You can't trust them on a night-to-night basis. Powell could play 15 minutes, or he could start and play 30 minutes. Last 5 games, 19, 26, 19, 20, and 29. So your guess is as good as mine. Again, you guys know who's coach. How can you trust it, right? So both centers are in play because they're cheap, and I think they split the set of minutes. Like Boban could get in there for a little bit, but I would say it's a little bit unlikely. I think both these centers are in play. Just good luck trying to figure out who it's going to be, right? So that's the tough part there with the 2 bigs. If you told me Powell was going to play 30 minutes tonight or Cauley-Stein was going to play 30 minutes tonight, I would lock him in. It's just you just have no idea. The range of outcome for the minutes is so wide, makes them both risky. And then Melly, I don't think I get to him at the flat min price unless he starts the 4, but I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll move Dorian Finney-Smith to the 4, go start a little bit of a smaller lineup. So that's it for Dallas. All right, guys, 2 games up, 2 games down. Let's see, where are we at as far as any more news? Not much else. Doncic 23%. Okay, that's actually a little bit higher than I thought. Okay, yeah. So that is a little bit higher than I thought. All right, Washington, Toronto. So this is the game where if you're playing like cash games, you're playing optimal lineups, you're trying to build the optimal lineup, this is a game you want to focus on, right? Russell Westbrook. I don't need to say much, right? The price just doesn't move. He's going to play 40 minutes. I'm not scared of Toronto defensively. The only reason I could see fading him is if you think this game somehow blows out, but it's like a 1-point spread. He's going to be popular. I would say, in higher dollar stuff, we're probably going to get an 80% owned Westbrook, maybe even more. Seriously, I think he'll be that high owned, at least in the higher dollar stuff. So Westbrook looks phenomenal here, as always. Brad Beal, same thing. He's a fine GBP contrarian play. Could you play them both together? You could. You could. Both are going to play big minutes. Beal has a little bit of a lower floor, but he has gone for 41, 45, and 54 fantasy points the last 3 games. So both the guards look good, but obviously prefer Westbrook to Beal. I'm so tired of Scott Brooks. Why are you not playing your best center more minutes? All right. He literally had a double-double in 14 minutes. I don't know if you guys saw that quote. Someone asked him, hey, with the way Daniel Gafford's been playing recently, you're going to give him more minutes. And he said, yeah. It frustrates me to no end because Gafford should be getting way more minutes, and he's not. So will Scott Brooks stay true to his word? Probably not. I think Gafford is, if he doesn't start, is just more of a GPP play. But again, if the minutes, like if I knew Gafford was going to play, I don't know, let's say 26 minutes tonight, I would probably play him. But there's also a chance he plays 12. So kind of like those Dallas centers, it's hard to trust his minutes. And yes, Rui's out. No, I'm not chasing to Anthony Gill at 3K. I don't care if he starts. He played 18 minutes. People chase that. Mistake. Bertans is fine off the bench. He's going to play 25 plus minutes. He's just got to hit his shots. He's at a cheap enough price point. It's doable. That is it for Washington. Moving on to Toronto, another team I think looks really good now, especially no OG, no Kyle Lowry. So we got to start with Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet. Right now, in my opinion, two of the best plays of the slate at their respective prices. I love them both. You know, this game should stay competitive. 40, 38, 42 minutes the last 2 games for Siakam. Fred VanVleet, 42, 40, and 41. They're just playing massive minutes. This is a phenomenal matchup. They're missing a couple high usage guys in Lowry and OG. I don't know how you can't love both VanVleet and Siakam. You can for sure play them both. Two of the best plays of the slate, in my opinion. Khem Birch at 5.4K is a fine option. He's been playing the minutes, over 30 the last 5. Production been a little bit up and down. He went on that stretch where he went a couple games at 35, 43, 41. His cooled down a little bit recently, but hey, he still has that upside. And if he's going to play over 30 minutes, I'm perfectly fine going to Khem Birch at the price. Gary Trent Jr. is a guy I absolutely hate playing. He'll play the minutes, like he'll probably start and play 30 plus minutes. He's a fine GPP play. Again, the range of outcomes has a floor of like single digits, has a ceiling of 40 plus when he's hitting his shots, right? Just look at these box scores. 5, 14, 44, 18, 29, 63, 7, 19, right? So it's like you don't touch that in cash games. For GPPs, you can take a shot on them, kind of like a Hardaway, right? You just got to hit his shots. And then value, right? Keep an eye on the starting lineup. I don't think I can stomach Stanley Johnson. I know he's played 30 plus last couple games. I mean, if he starts again, maybe. I just really don't feel good about it. Bembry at 3-1. I mean, maybe gets 15 to 20 minutes. Malachi Flynn has been awful last couple games. 20 and 13 minutes, 0 of 10 combined shooting. Previous games, though, when they had one of Lowry or VanVleet were out, he played 32 and 36 minutes. It was pretty solid in that run, right? So he's been very, very up and down. If Malachi Flynn starts, I do have some interest in him, but I think if he doesn't play well, like he did 2 games ago, they will cut his minutes short. So there's nothing you're going to feel confident about for Washington value, but there's definitely a couple playable guys here. Also, again, Yuta Watanabe out, so that's more minutes to go around as well. It says 3 games up, 3 games down. We got 4 games left. Any more news here? Let's take a look. Still nothing. Okay, so where are we at, guys? 350 viewers and 89 likes. If you could, leave a like button. Closing in on the 100 like mark. Appreciate all the support, guys. And let's jump to Memphis and Detroit. So on the Memphis side, there's not a ton I love as far as the spend ups. Ja, we know the big game. He's fine for tournaments. The upside is there. We just saw it last game, but I just have a hard time prior. Like, you have VanVleet and Siakam at a very similar price to Ja Morant. I just have a hard time playing Ja over those two as far as like optimal build. Now, again, definitely playable for GPPs. Just prefer the Toronto guys there. Jonas Valanciunas fouled out in 20 minutes, but previous game 35 in regulation. If he plays 35 in this match against Detroit, he could have a really big game at like 1% ownership. So I don't mind taking a shot in JV for GPPs. Slow-mo at 5'9", I think probably gets about 25 to 30 minutes. A fair play in the mid-range, but Triple J is back. Probably a little bit less minutes for him. Grayson Allen out, so assuming Desmond Bane starts, I think he's a solid value. We probably get 25 to 30 minutes from him. I know he's had really good games last couple, but he also has a pretty low floor, right? He's not like a great point per minute guy. So just be careful here with Bane. I do think he's a solid value, but maybe a little bit over-owned if he starts. And then Brandon Clark at 3-3 will lose some minutes with Triple J back, but I think he'll play, somewhere around 15 to 20, and he's a decent point per minute guy. At the flat min price, you could do worse. All right, so moving on to Detroit. Do we have any updated news on their starting lineup yet? I know Corey Joseph and Ellington are both expected to play. But, okay, nothing. Bane's out. Yeah, that's slate changing. Got to change everything. All right, so Detroit's now a team I don't like as much because, yes, they're still shorthanded, but now Corey Joseph is in. Now Wayne Ellington is in. That's two more bodies in the rotation, especially if Killian Hayes is in. They're a little bit deeper than you think. So with Sadiq Bey, with Isaiah Stewart at the top, I would say right now there's more GPP plays. Stewart still has upside, should start the 5 and play somewhere around 25 to 32 minutes. But hard to prioritize him. Same thing with Sadiq Bey now, right? I think the minutes will be there. Shot attempts will be there. I just have a hard time plugging him in over some other guys in the slate. Corey Joseph, keep an eye on Killian Hayes. So if Killian Hayes is out, Corey Joseph, I would think, probably starts and plays, 30 minutes would be my guess, which actually I think makes him a pretty interesting value play. I know he hasn't played in a while, but everyone out for Detroit, he's a good point per minute guy. The only thing you have to worry about is Detroit's not playing for anything, so he could come out and play 20 minutes, and then you're in rough shape. So there's that risk with Corey Joseph. And if Killian Hayes is out, I think Saban Lee is worth a dart throw in GPPs. 20, 19 minutes last couple games playing the backup point guard, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. Sekou, I'm guessing, starts the 4. I think is a fair value. 31, 34 minutes last couple games. Minutes probably go down a little bit with Wayne Ellington, and maybe we get 25 to 30. Still playable there in a decent matchup for Sekou. Just not a great point per minute guy. And Wayne Ellington at the flat min price, not for me. Unless he starts, you can take a shot at him. Again, though, he's got to hit his shots to get fantasy value. And then Frank Jackson does become riskier now with Corey Joseph in, with Wayne Ellington in. That's 2 more bodies in the rotation. I still think, maybe instead of 35 minutes for Frank Jackson, we get 25 to 30, which is, fine, but not a great play. So Detroit's just a lot of secondary plays right now for me. All right, Atlanta, Indiana, hinted at this game. I like this game a good amount for GPPs. Right, if you want to get off a chalky Washington-Toronto game, if you want to get off a somewhat chalky Brooklyn-Dallas game, this could be a game to use one-off pieces to make your lineup different. So the Atlanta side, Trey, Capella, Bogdan. I think all three have a good amount of upside. We'll start with Capella, actually. A lot of blowouts recently. He's a guy that he went on that stretch where he was going for 50-plus almost every single game. He's a guy that can block some shots, obviously get some peripheral stats, probably will get you a double-double. And this Pacers team just plays no defense, no Miles Turner. Sabonis is not a good defender. I think Capella's a pretty sneaky GPP play. Don't be surprised if Capella goes for 60 at 5% ownership today. So I like him, not a cash game play. I like him for tournaments. Same thing with Trae Young, right? There's just more optimal plays in my opinion. But Trae Young in a close game probably plays 35 minutes. And again, this game's a 240 over-under. There's going to be a ton of points scored. I like him for GPPs. I don't even mind Bogdan Bogdanovic, who's been their number 2 guy in the offense behind Trae Young. He's still playing big minutes. So those 3, I think, are firmly in play for GPPs. I'm not getting into anything else on the Atlanta side. Moving on to the Indiana Pacers, a little bit less appealing, but if Brogdon and all the value guys are out, I think Sabonis is a viable pivot off of chalky Westbrook, off of chalky Steph Curry, off of somewhat chalky KD, Luka Doncic, right? No one's going to play Sabonis at this price. And again, I think you could run a little stack of this game to differentiate yourself. Maybe you use 1 or 2 pieces from Atlanta, 1 piece from Indiana, and there's a little game stack. And if this game goes crazy, you're looking in good shape in super low ownership. So Sabonis, for sure not an optimal play. But hey, besides the last game, we had a subpar game, 74 and 75 fantasy points. He can still break the slate at 10-4. So Sabonis, I saw some interest there for GPPs. LeVert, nothing more than a piece I would use as a game stack. Other than that, though, I can't really prioritize him. And the value, I'm so tilted about it from last night. They've been running an 8-man rotation last 4 or 5 games, and for some reason, last game, they extended to 10. That really tilted me because that hurt the value of the Holiday Bros. It hurt McDermott for value. Obviously hurt McConnell too. If they're going to run a 10-man rotation again, I have no interest in the value. They'll probably troll me and go back to an 8-man rotation, and then all the value will crush, and you will see me tilt very, very hard in the video tonight. So that's our map for the Pacers. Moving on to the Thunder and Golden State Warriors, there's just not much here for the Thunder. I just don't know how you trust this team for minutes, right? They're going to run at least a 10-man rotation. Lou Dort questionable. If Lou Dort's out, you can play any of the starters. It just Moses Brown, right? 30 minutes, 12 minutes. If he plays 12, you're dead. Your night's over. Pack it up. You're done. If he plays 30, you're in good shape. But your guess is as good as mine how many minutes he plays. Baisley has been playing the most consistent minutes. I would say probably gets around 30. And you can go there for GBPs. Maladon, Roby. I just don't trust this team. So look at the starting lineup. I think any of the starters you can use for GPPs. The bench guys, I wouldn't do it because there's random guys getting DNPs. Kenrich Williams, I think someone said Fantasy Labs had him projected very high that last game, and he got a DNP. So, just a situation that I'm not touching the bench guys. I think the starters you can use for contrarian GPP plays, but they're going to run a deep rotation. So, Golden State, Steph Curry, I like a good amount for GPPs. The only thing you have to worry about here is potential for a blowout. This Thunder team is god-awful, but if this game can stay close, you could see a 70-plus fantasy point game here from Steph. So I do like him. I think he's a really good tournament play there at the top. Draymond Green, I like too. Again, only concern is potential for a blowout. If this game stays close, you could see like a 15, 15, 15, 3-block, 3-steal game from Draymond, right? He's just a guy that can go out and do that. So I think he's a good tournament play. Wiggins, I don't play Wiggins. Bazemore's fine secondary option in the mid-range. I'll probably plays 30 to 32 minutes. Probably it for me. I don't think we have to go to guys like Toscano, Anderson, Poole. Looney will get about 25 minutes, but not needed on this slate. All right, guys, one game left. Let's see. Do we have any more news? Hutchinson game time decision. That means nothing to me. All right, Lakers, Clippers. Kind of ugly game here. Good. Should be, good to watch. Not for fantasy, though. Anthony Davis, going to be super low owned. No LeBron James. You can go there for GPPs. Right now, though, the floor is lower with him playing alongside Andre Drummond. As far as the centers go, I have no trust in this rotation. With Drummond, Gasol, Harrell might play. It might be a three-headed monster. Right now, I'm just staying away from the centers. Kuzma, he burned a lot of people last game. He'll come in at way lower ownership. I still think he plays 30 to 35 minutes as a fine GPP play in the mid-range. That does have upside, and he'll be super low owned. Again, Harrell, no. THT, if he plays on the bench, viable tournament play. The guy I think looks the best is Alex Caruso. No LeBron James, no Dennis Schroeder. Assuming he starts, I think he will. I think we had about 25, maybe more. If THT's out, they have no other guards, right? So Caruso could play 30-plus minutes if there's no THT. I think he actually is a pretty solid value play at that price. KCP, we know what he is. 30 minutes, just a matter of whether or not he hits the shots. So playable value, but not something you're going to feel amazing about. Finally, the Clippers, there's not much here. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, I'll pass. Morris, Reggie, Vici Zubac revenge game, no thanks. Couple viable dart throws for tournaments. Rondo, lost minutes last game with Pat Beverly back, but did shoot 0-4. Maybe he plays a little bit more. Maybe instead of 20, we get 22 to 24. Revenge game narrative, but again, not something I can really prioritize. And then last guy I'll mention is the boogeyman, Boogie Cousins, 3-7. What I always will mention with him is there's a chance he gets a DNP, but I'm guessing it's a big Lakers front court. This is a game he will play the backup five. There's no guarantee, though. And if he is playing the backup five and maybe Zubac gets in some foul trouble and he plays more minutes than 15, then he could crush at super low ownership because we know he's a great point per minute guy. The last 5 games, 18, 26, 35, 26, and 17 fantasy points that he has played in. So yeah, viable tournament play, but there's a lot of risk with a guy like DeMarcus Cousins, and that is it, guys, for my breakdown. So that's 7 games up, 7 games down. We got 10 minutes left for questions. So okay, let's see. Brogdon out, Sumner out, Goga in, Jeremy Lamb in. So let me circle back to Goga really quick. I will mention he did play some decent minutes last game. He played 21 minutes off the bench. He's actually pretty solid point per minute guy, so I think Goga's playable here. I do. Would like him more if he starts. I don't think he'll start, but I think if he starts, I like him a good amount for value. If he comes off the bench, I still think he's viable, but more of a GPP play. Again, though, did play 21 minutes the last game and did not play in the blowout. So that is what I got, guys, for the breakdown. Let's get to some questions here. Brogdon out. Goga game. Yeah, I think Goga's playable. Boogie revenge game. Yeah, that's true. Goga coach's revenge game. Yeah, you saw that versus assistant coach. Watch Goga get 5 minutes. I mean, that's the concern, right? There's no guarantee of minutes there. Best guard at the flat min. I can take a look. I'm not sure if there's anyone playable at the flat min, but let me just scroll through really quick here. Well, I will say maybe Wayne Ellington. Maybe Wayne Ellington if he starts. I don't know how many minutes he plays if he doesn't start, but let me just scroll through, see if there's anyone really that is playable, maybe besides him. I don't know if Tyus Jones plays. Did he play last game? He played 13. I mean, he's a guy that usually plays about 10 minutes. Probably can't do that. Rodney Hood. Yeah, he's still, even with them being shorthanded, he still hasn't got a ton of runs. So I really think your only playable guy is probably Wayne Ellington. I think I only take a shot at him if he starts. So, yeah, there's not much there at the flat min. Whoops. Stanley Johnson or Bembry. I don't really want to play either. Stanley, if he starts, is probably a little bit safer, but those are two guys I don't trust. 7.5K LaMelo or 7K Ja. It's probably 7K Ja. I think he just has more upside for minutes. I think they have similar upside. So, yeah, I'll go Ja there. Kyrie and Cauley Stein or Capella and Clark. I think it's got to be the first one there. Really, can you make a... No. What's going on? What's going on in the chat here? Oh. Got some hate, I see. Okay. Yeah, it is what it is. Let him hate. Let him hate. All right, so Curry, KD, or Luka, price not involved. Price not involved. I mean, it depends what you're playing, right? I think Curry's probably maybe my favorite in GPPs. But a price doesn't matter. Maybe it's Luka then, for like cash games. 4.8K Bane, 4.8K Herder, 4.7K Monk. Ooh, I don't love the price there on Bane. Herder's not really someone I'm considering, obviously, on DraftKings, but how many minutes has he been playing? I don't really love any of them at their prices. It's probably Herder for cash and Monk for GPPs at their prices there. Sneaky, yeah, I think that Hawks Pacer stack is viable for tournaments. I do think it's suboptimal. Top fade? I don't think I have an answer to that because I like all the guys at the top. Yeah, I honestly, like, there's no one at the top that I dislike. So I'll say, if I had to pick, I will say Steph and just hope that game blows out. But that is not a confident one at all. Usually my answer is Steph. Take a chance on Aaron Holiday second day in a row. I just don't trust the minutes for. I mean, he did start and play 27. If he starts, you can. It's not something I feel good about, especially with them running a 10-man rotation. Yeah, best value. I don't think there's one best value play. I know my answer was KJ Martin the last slate, but on this one, the value doesn't look as good. I think that you just want to like mix and match of making a lot of lineups, but I don't think, like, I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's a standout value. Like, yeah, you can go to Bane. I think Bane's fine. Might be a little bit overowned though. Does Westbrook being on a back-to-back? No. Nope. Minutes are going to be 40-ish. Got to fade Goga after that incident. Yeah, a little bit worried that he doesn't play a lot, right? I mean, that's if he doesn't start, that's the risk. 8.8K Fred VanVleet or 8.5 LeVert. I think it's got to be Fred VanVleet. TJ with Brogdon and Sumner out. Again, my worry is what they did last game, and they extended the rotation. So, like, he only played 23 minutes. I think he's a fine tournament play. Again, you can go there's a game stack, but it's not something I feel great about. Siakam or Fred VanVleet, I think that's basically a coin flip, right? Both those guys, I think, look like two of the best plays of the slate. I think just go with what fits for your lineup. All right, let's see. Porzingis out. Yep. I think that was already confirmed, but let's see. Do we have any more news? Killian Hayes out. Okay, so Killian Hayes out. Okay, so I'm guessing Corey Joseph starts. I think he's an interesting value play. Yeah. Does Carlisle restrict minutes being on front end of back-to-back? I would say probably not, but maybe like something that you have to have in your back of your mind. Capella and Caruso or Kyrie and Cauley Stein. I mean, I do think Caruso is safer than Cauley Stein, but I much prefer Kyrie to Capella. I will say I think it's still the second one. Westbrook more or less than 23.5 points. I'm not sure because I really don't look at it like that way. I just look at it for fantasy points, so probably not the best person to ask for that. Yeah, Killian Hayes out, Saban Lee season. I think you can use Saban Lee for... I'm guessing Corey Joseph starts. I think Saban Lee is still going to play the same role of like 18 to 20 minutes off the bench. Would be my best guess. Frank Jackson season. Yeah, right. Wayne Ellington's in there too. So they got a couple more bodies in there. I got Westbrook, Luka, and Durant in my lineup. I think that looks good. Baines out. Does that mean Birch will play 35? No, because Baines hasn't been in the rotation. It was actually Freddie Gillespie playing the backup 5. Corey Joseph in. No Lee with Joseph in. Yeah, I think Lee is still playable. Just his role doesn't change a ton. Frank Jackson, Kojo, or Saban Lee. I would say Corey Joseph probably if he starts. Would you play Powell and Cash on DK? If he starts, you can. It's just, again, it's something that the minutes can still fluctuate. So I don't feel good about it. Where's the Birch love? I think Birch is a pretty solid play in the mid-range. I do. I think he'll play 30-ish minutes and good matchup. So Westbrook, Fred VanVleet, Baines, Siakam, Powell, Caruso, Demboya, and Melo. Okay, that's good to me. Ellington in too. Yep, top 3 GPP plays. I don't think I have an answer to it. I think my answer would be the Atlanta-Indiana game I like to use. If you want to use like one lower-owned piece, I think maybe getting exposure to that game looks good to get a little bit different. Like Washington-Toronto's the optimal build, right? Obviously, you got Luke and Durant look good too. But I think that Indiana-Atlanta game, maybe like if you have a chalky lineup and you want to make it different, then I think maybe use like one piece in that game. Yeah, I think Trae Young's exactly good alternative option that will come in at lower ownership. Caruso viable, yes, especially if THT's out. Like they have no other point guards. Get ready to Ellington for shoot 18 to 20. Yeah, I think you could take a dart on him if he starts. Dawson, Westbrook, VanVleet, Bane, Stein. Okay, yeah, I mean it's a little bit risky. You are going stars and scrubs, but like I like the idea. I like the idea in it. It's just gotta hope that the value guys get you there. Stanley Johnson viable for cash. If he starts, yeah, he is because he's the flat min price. He has 14 fans points last couple games is not good, but yes, I think if he starts, you can use Stanley Johnson. So thoughts on this lineup: Ja, Westbrook, Rozier, Melton, Bogdanovich, Bazemore, Jeff Green, McDaniels, and Capella. I think it's a little bit too contrarian, right? I think there's getting contrarian, and I think that's getting a little bit too contrarian for me. Do you like Triple J if he starts? The minutes have still not been huge on. They're taking it easy on his run. Like what did he play last game? Like he's hovering 20 to 25. I'm probably not going to do it. Any better options than Zubac in that range? Hit the like button. DK deserves. Hey, appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're 135 likes. I think that's close to the record. But yeah, so appreciate the support, guys. In Zubac's range, let's see. I might prefer Kem Birch. I think I might prefer Kem Birch to Zubac. And it's just because the minutes are more consistent with Birch, 32, 36, 35, 30, and 32, as opposed to Zubac, who sometimes plays like 20 to 25, right? He did play 30 last game, but 24, 25, 20, 24. I'll give the edge to Kem Birch there at a similar price. Gillespie viable. I mean, he's playing the backup 5. He'll play, like 15-ish minutes. I don't think we have to go there in this slate. Wanamaker in play, yes. A riskier value play, though. Luka or Westbrook? I think it's got to be Westbrook. All right, shooting guard at 5,200. Winding down, guys. Got about another minute. So 5,200 for shooting guard. There's not a ton of love. I think it's still Frank Jackson, even though like Wayne Ellington's in. I would assume we get 25 to 30 minutes from him, which I think makes him a fair play. I think it's Frank Jackson. I don't love him, but yeah, I think I'll go there. Frank Jackson and Bay or Joseph and Stewart. I think it's pretty similar. The first one might be a little bit safer because my worry with Corey Joseph is I think he has a lot of upside. But again, the Pistons are playing for absolutely nothing. He could start, maybe only play 20 minutes. So I think maybe the safer one is the first one. Thoughts on Westbrook, Bane, Bay, Sekou, Powell, Luka, Collins, and Caruso. I'm not sure if I get to John Collins in the slate. How many Raptors are you playing? Not sure yet, but I think definitely at least one. At least one Raptor for sure. Can you play Melton and Ja together? Probably. How many minutes? Melton is just, it's a frustrating play because the minutes very fluctuate. So he played 25 last game. I think he's playable for GPPs. Would I play him with Ja together? Probably not. Ball or Rozier? I think it's Ball there. Zubac at 4,300 on FanDuel. That makes him more playable for sure. All right. VanVleet or Capella. So it's VanVleet for cash. I think you can use Capella, though, if you want to differentiate your lineup. I do think Capella has a lot of upside. Tillman's out. Okay, so, I mean, he wasn't really playing a ton of minutes. I can check on that. Tillman out. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of been like fringe in the rotation, right? If I want to say. He did play 28 minutes the last game, but that was a no Triple J. Triple J's back. I don't know if that does a ton. I don't. Like, maybe Brandon Clark does get closer to the 20-minute mark then instead of like 15. So he becomes maybe a slight boost. But, yeah, I don't think that really does much for me. All right, guys. Thank you for everyone coming to check out the stream. We hit almost 400 viewers. We hit 143 likes. That is crazy. Let me refresh one more time, make sure we're up to date and everything, and then I got to get out of here. So appreciate all the support again. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. And I'll be back here tomorrow to close out the week for Friday.